When visiting a foreign country, one of the first things one likes to know is its size. Well, Norway is just a little larger than the British Isles. From Trondheim to the south is no larger than England. The remainder of the country consists of a long, narrow strip running up into the Arctic Circle and ending in Lapland in the far north. Now let us see what sort of a land it is. First, there are the fjords, stretching often 100 miles or more inland. Sometimes with fertile shores, and other times hemmed in on either side by rocky cliffs rising 2,000 or 3,000 feet above the water. Then there are the mountains, which are everywhere. On their summits lie vast fields of eternal snow with glaciers pushing down into the green valleys. Again, from these mountains flow down streams, now forming magnificent waterfalls as they leap over the edge of some lofty plateau. Then they rush wildly over their rock-strewn torrent bed until they reach the lakes. Which thus, gathering the waters, send them on again in one wide river to the fjord. Such is the overall character of the land. Such things lend themselves to create scenery which cannot fail to charm and impress. And in one day in Norway, you may see them all. The towns are neither numerous nor large, and with few exceptions are situated on the sea coast. Perhaps a quarter of the population is to be found in the towns, the remainder consisting of country folk who live on their farms. Of the cities, Bergen, the second city of the kingdom, is undoubtedly the most beautiful. When the traveller now arrives in Bergen, he finds a modern city of 140,000 inhabitants. It is distinctly a shipping and commercial town, but possessing great cultural interests, for founded 900 years ago, Bergen has lost nothing of its charm and character. A tour of the town tells the history of centuries in its old buildings and picturesque quarters. Fish is one of Norway's important industries, which is not surprising in a nation of sailors whose flag flies on every sea and whose ships fetch and carry in every quarter of the globe. In almost every seaside village, one finds the boat builder making ships of stout timbers, building them to last in the traditional manner of his Viking ancestors. Timber means much to Norwegians. From it they build not only their ships but their homes. Every small community has its little timber mill driven by water power, the water often conveyed by rough wooden conduits. This prevalence of wood construction is not to be wondered at, but a very large proportion of the country, some 19 million acres, is covered by vast tracts of forest. The pine forests in particular provide raw material for a flourishing industry, paper making. The limitless water power provides the driving force for these great mills. For Norway has no coal, but in hydroelectric power she is richer than any other country in Europe, with 12.5 million horsepower to develop her electrical resources. In the spring of the year, the logs are made up into huge booms and floated down the rivers to the mills. Elaborate overhead gear hoists the timber from the river. Aerial ropeways carry it to its destination. First, the logs are washed by an automatic machine. Then they are carried from the washing tank and cut to size. From here they tumble down a helter-skelter onto an elevator which conveys them to the mill. In enormous revolving drums, the bark is removed. The logs are then crushed to a porridge-like consistency known as wood pulp. This material goes to the paper-making machine, where it is spread on an endless blanket which conveys it through and over a series of rollers. Surplus moisture is removed, heated rollers dry and glaze the material, which has now become paper. When ready, the paper is cut, inspected and counted. The product of this industry constitutes one of Norway's most valuable exports. It is strange how nature has endowed these rugged countries with riches. Nearly half of the total land area is virtually treeless mountain waste, but these mountains are rich in mineral deposits. For hundreds of years, rich yields of silver have come from the mines. This, the oldest silver mine, is entered by a tunnel in the mountain side. Two miles within are the shafts, which descend to a great depth. Little trains transport the ore from the mine. Between shifts, the men feed and rest in underground caverns which have been made into canteens. After leaving the mine, the ore is crushed and melted in furnaces. It is good that nature has endowed Norway with these riches, for only 5% of her land area is arable. Less than 3% is in fact under cultivation. Nevertheless, the Norwegian farmer is a versatile man. Heavy rains and dews make hay drying difficult, so he and his family erect in the tiny fields drying frames or hurdles. Over these, the grass is hung to dry, depending upon the wind to do the job quickly. The Norwegian horse provides motive power, for generally the acreages are too small to warrant mechanical aid. The farm mare takes her foal to work. In this way, the young animal is broken in by habit. Most farms are in the valleys surrounded by towering snow-capped mountains and glaciers, and that always means water, and water is power. Even a small mountain stream can serve a useful purpose if it's nothing more than for driving a watermill made from the wheel of the wagon that's broken. In the wild parts of Norway, the people have many interesting superstitions. For instance, the little gnomes, in whom all believe, often attach themselves to special farms. If any of the horses or cattle appear to thrive better than their fellows, the folk will explain it by saying, such beasts are the favourites of the gnomes. Who steal fodder from the others. And generally worry the life out of the animals they do not favour. Then the milk turns sour. Perhaps the butter goes rancid. Or even the fat cattle pine away. All is the fault of the vexatious gnomes. A family have even been known to decide to escape by going away secretly. And then, as the last cartload of furniture was leaving the farm, the troublesome pixie pops his head from out of the empty water butt and says, "Oh, we're moving today." And of course, he moved along too. Every farming community the world over has its different problems, especially in mountainous and unequitable climates. Directly the snow has melted off the highlands, the flocks and herds are sent to the upland pastures, or sæters as they're termed. The women go with their animals. The cows are milked where they pasture. Then the churns are collected from the wayside. Both cows and also goats give an abundance of good milk, which is turned into butter and cheese to be sold or consumed in the winter. The religion of the country is Lutheran, almost in its original form. Often the journey to church is long. Down the fjord on a fine Sunday morning, the sight of a boat crossing over to a church is a picturesque one, as the country folk, often in national costume, make their way. Then there is the gathering before and after church, when topics of the week are discussed, and of course the local gossip. But a wedding causes more interest and excitement than in many lands. The bride on horseback with the bridegroom leading her mount. The party proceed in procession, the guests either on foot or by conveyance. Then, on a green nearby, they enjoy the traditional dances. The fiddler is always busy, for on ceremonial occasions, the violin is the one instrument they know. It has been in use among the Norwegians for hundreds of years. The ceremony ends with a walk to the new home. Everyone carries some present or some contribution towards the wedding feast. Before the new home, the parents of the bride welcome the happy couple and their guests. The whole affair is charming pageantry, which alas is fast dying out. Man of the moment is the master of ceremonies with the home-brewed ale. But the visitor leaves this charming northern country with a feeling that there is a close link between British and Norwegian people, and that perhaps at heart it lies in that adherent belief in freedom, independence, and the simple way of life such as is lived in the land of the midnight sun.